Hi people, it's Tanu and
Boy.
as usual. And in this episode we are going to talk about religion.
So we're going to focus on a few things. We're not talking about religion as a whole because I don't even know how you can cover that. We'll be focusing on, I believe there are 3 topics. So why are young people running away from religion? Yet many of us were raised in homes where this was something that was introduced to us and we followed through. We went to church. And again, focusing on Christianity mostly because that's what we know. We cannot be seated here, talking to you about Islam or talking to you about Buddhism or anything else because we don't know that. So we'll talk about what we know. The other one is?
The other one we're going to talk about is Christianity becoming a con game. And especially that, given the things that have been happening recently. And also, I'm sure a lot of you also saw what happened in Rwanda with the shutting down of 6,000 churches. We do want to get some opinions on that as well.
Yeah, are you in agreement? Do you disagree? What are the merits and demerits of the state seeming like it is policing church?
Okay, so to start with, we will start with this thing that happened recently. Was it in Kitengela with the white Jesus?
Kenyans, really?
No, but let's talk about it though. This guy was even dressed in the robe, the first century.
Apparently he's an actor, and he's an evangelist at the same time. I don't know why.
So anyways, so Jesus himself came to Kenya. Very white, very blonde, and he was in some church in Kitengela,
invited
by the preachers, right?
Of that
church,
from what we are.
And apparently, that church even gained more followers and just gained some sort of
they did mass crusades.
They did mass crusades,
interdenominational crusades.
Exactly, and people even started coming to that church to see Jesus, but then he was deported. After a very short
it's not been
amount
confirmed,
of time.
By the way. This whole deportation thing has not been formally confirmed by the government. Yes, it has not been confirmed by immigration. We are not also having major media houses covering the deportation.
Okay, but the thing is,
we hear also they were arrested. The ones who brought him into the country were arrested.
And the weirdest thing is that I saw this whole story on, was it Daily Africa or All Africa? All Africa. This is like an international platform, and I was just like, "Hey, Kenya is on the map. We have Jesus."
I've seen YouTubers, international YouTubers, people from the US, from Europe, everywhere. I've seen a German actually, and they're not even translating.
And on Nigerian news as well.
I
saw that in Nigerian news.
Was it that serious?
It was. The fact that I even found out about it on other countries' news. Right. So first of all, this raises a lot of concerns for me. If this man was black, no. This is a very serious concern. How far would this gimmick have gone? Wouldn't it have been now reported as there's a mad black man somewhere claiming to be Jesus?
Would have gotten him help. Would have actually got. I mean,
he's a madman. He needs a psych evaluation.
Claims he's Jesus.
Yeah.
But
because
we are conditioned to
believe in a white
idea of
savior.
The white savior that we were given, who is actually Caesar Borgia. But anyway,
should we talk about
and the people fell into it, and my main thing isn't it blasphemy? Because this guy wasn't saying, "I am here."
Not even I'm a
messenger. I'm a messenger. Otherwise, they were literally saying, "Yo, you Yesu. This is Jesus. This is."
No, and we can laugh about it, but honestly,
it's quite serious. And again, the funny thing is, whenever you talk about this, especially the image that we were given of Jesus, no one actually. That's the moment they tell you. Why is it important? Why does it matter? Because a lot of us are waking up to the fact that maybe this is not, the white Jesus we were given with the long blonde hair and the blue eyes is not actually the Jesus that Scripture tells us is actually Jesus. And the moment you try to bring that up now, immediately they backpedal and they're like, it doesn't matter what color he is. If it doesn't matter, why did you make him to look like
blonde with blue eyes?
And then now that it's becoming evident and people are waking up to that, it doesn't suddenly matter. But if it doesn't matter, I can pose it back to you. Why change it? Why? But anyway,
But what's your opinion on the whole, other than the race thing, what's your opinion on the whole an actual church and actual preachers who are like messengers of God?
It is a con game.
Yeah, and
it
just bringing something like this, and they're the same ones who preach from the same Bible that talks about blasphemy.
It has become,
you know what,
this economy is tough. I can make money very quickly. There are people who are charismatic. There are people who can sit down and devise plots like this, and that's exactly what they did. Yeah. But what about you? Because it's okay for wherever they are to sit down and.
But what about the people who actually believe in this church, believe in the teachings, come to church for not just for the sake of coming to church, but for them it's about their faith. It's about the thing that keeps them going.
And this is why we have to now be more discerning as people, because you cannot be saved from, really from these things. But you have to save yourself from nonsense. No one, people cannot. You cannot, just the same way you can get out here and. You could find a thug and whatever happens. So if people create plots, it's for you to be smart enough not to fall for them. And yes, it's the worst thing is here they know people are not. People are so, because in Africa we're so thirsty to feed that spirituality, and we have problems, we're looking for answers, and we go to church to look for answers, and there are people who are there who are willing to take advantage of us, and this is why the prosperity gospel has become so popular.
Let's go to that actually. Not even going into the whole prosperity gospel, but let's talk about this. It's a major teaching, but then it's one thing that preachers are using to take advantage of people who go to church. The more you give, just give. Yeah. And where does this money go? We see like people who walk to church, giving money, giving their tithes and everything for these preachers to buy jets. Preachers are moving around
and do you ever ask people
luxury cars and living large basically, but preaching to the people. The more you give, the more you give, the more you give.
Yeah. And no one, do we ever sit down and, because it's important to worship, and that you need to worship it with other fellow congregants or whatever. So we're not telling people not to go to church, but do you ever hold them accountable? Because when we're talking about we talk about holding
especially with politicians, we're like, hold our MPs accountable, hold everyone accountable.
We want to hold all our three arms of government accountable. The judiciary, we want to hold everything accountable, but we never think about the church. We give all this money, even if one person is giving 50 shillings. I was telling you the other day. Yeah, how many people you see roads? I know churches where roads are shut, like the human traffic alone, leave alone traffic that is caused by vehicles, is astronomical. And if they're just giving 50 shillings, how much is that? And we see when God
it's not about how much is being given, but where this money
is this money going? Where is it going? Do you ever put them to task? What are they doing? Do we have a clinic somewhere where we can probably do a few things for the community? Right. We have any soup kitchens like they would have abroad? Because we have people here who go hungry, who don't know what they're going to eat. Do we have a school that the church, and I know that some churches who run schools, there's some churches even run little dispensaries, but the majority of them do not. And yet we're giving and giving. We have those envelopes being passed around in churches. We have as well as tithe, leave alone sadaka, there's tithe.
And one of the examples of this that we were talking about recently, if you remember when we were deciding that we were going to do this as a topic, is how in the States, this preacher who has a mega church, it's a huge black community, is it in Atlanta?
Yes, I believe so.
Creflo Dollar. So he recently procured a jet. There are many, but this specific one, I'm going to talk about this specific one because the reason why I'm not taking this personally, but honestly, he has a mega church and he's a very influential person in the black community in America. So the problems that affect the black community. We're always talking about brutality, police brutality. We're talking about gang crime. We are talking about
you have kids who
hate crime. We are talking about
they can do is join a gang and die young. And
sell drugs. This is what the musicians
and any other options are not viable.
And this is what the role models are singing about and glorifying left, right, and center. And that's why, in America, like black boys, you're a walking bullseye from the day you're born.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel. So here comes this influential person in the black community who represents religion, and he's there like in the thing that gives people hope, but collecting money to buy.
First of all, this is a preacher who has focused more on prosperity gospel. So you're not talking about real issues that are affecting people in your community, because we have the breakdown of family, we have so much going on, and that's
like the black community in
single
America
moms trying to
like,
raise boys, and there's so much madness going on.
And in the and let's talk about the same Atlanta, same city. There's this lady, what's her name, from the Real Housewives. Is she there anymore? But there's one of these ladies, she is not a pastor. I think she's a pastor's child or something. And she took it upon herself because her name is Phaedra Parks. And she has this whole Phaedra Parks Foundation that brings like, collects money on like donations and gives clean water to the people of Flint. And she does these things where she sets up things like mentorship for young boys, for young black boys. She teams up with like even politicians to do, rallies about police brutality. This whole, is it an organization or is it just a group called Mothers of Slain Sons?
Yeah.
Mothers whose sons have been killed by the police. Like you can see her just by virtue of, I am a mother of boys and I can see the problems. Yeah. My boys are walking bullseyes just by being born black in this society. So I can do something about it.
That much features.
Exactly. So I can do something about it. I can create foundations, ask people to get involved, left, right, and center around the world. So I go to church and I'm asked, give your tithe. Will I give it to Creflo Dollar or will I give it to Phaedra Parks? Would you rather
send some donation to this?
Wouldn't I rather do that? Yeah. Like, is someone who is not even in, she is still influential, but you cannot put them in the same position because parading as a messenger of God.
And honestly, if our pastor came to us and told us, you know what, I've been invited to Africa
for missions,
wherever, to the Caribbean, I need a ticket. As a church, we will raise money to send our pastor.
We don't need to buy a jet.
But you don't need a jet, first of all, but the cost of buying it is high, but it's even higher to maintain this jet. It of course needs to be serviced, it needs maintenance fees, there's the hangar fees. Those are ridiculous amounts of money that you expect that, and you will still go back to the coffers of this church from the people, from the community, and
coming back home, maybe it's not jets, but you can see preachers living ridiculously large, and especially preachers who own smaller churches, so you can see even the people who come to their church.
And we're not saying preachers need to be struggling.
We are not. No. But I am saying you can clearly see the inequality there. Not so recently, but you remember the expose that was done on Kanyari's church, right? Telling everyone, and he's televised and everything. So he's telling people, for your problems to be solved, for your prayers to be answered, plant a seed, and we're only asking you for 310 shillings, which is not.
And
you can get 310 shillings.
Church is growing every day.
Yeah, and he was putting on a show.
If you go to Kanyari's church, kindly please just reach out. Let us know your side, because maybe we're wrong. Maybe at Asisi we're
maybe Akina Moha we're wrong. But Apana exorcising fake demons, and he actually owned up to it. And he was, oh my gosh, I even
potassium permanganate.
And telling people that you're.
But maybe there's something we don't know. So
anyways, if you still go to that church, tell us. The thing is, though, my thing with that is that the people who go to that church and who plant that seed for their prayers to be answered are people who, maybe their prayers are they have a sick child at home. Yeah. They're struggling financially. They're struggling with their marriages, with their families. They're struggling with a lot of legitimate things.
You will not get this there because we're focusing on very vain thing. And the main thing has been prosperity gospel. I feel like everywhere is like, don't worry, God will bless you. God, like,
but you have to, it's like quid pro quo. You have to give for God to bless you.
For God to bless you. And I feel like, and also like the other thing we need to look at is, aren't we cheapening the word if all the time it is about the financial, looking at it from financial, like my needs, I don't have so God. So we find people who are not even really reading the word, they're not really seeing other aspects of everything that's going on in the community, because we're so focused on I don't have, but maybe nisiku kona mingi, you know, like
we can't always count our blessings by how much money we
how much,
have.
I mean, we are now, that is how we are measuring blessings. How much money we have, really.
Because the truth of life is, you know what, we could have a lot of money and die next year, and someone could be blessed with long life, good health, good family, you know, our nempaka wajuku, all the children, and you know, a good family, which is rare to have,
which is beautiful
these days, and it's a blessing. Why do we make this other blessing seem lesser than the blessing of finances?
It's these are legitimate questions, and of course, this is why I feel like young people have run away from the church. And another thing I feel like we need to mention is, I've always felt like when we were taught about Christianity, it was more drummed into us in a way where do or utenda kwa shetani no chomeke forever and ever.
Promise of heaven or threat of hell.
Exactly. We weren't taught about the love and so many other beautiful things that, because honestly, I feel like that book, if you read it well, it answers so many of life questions, if not all of life questions. And we were not really taught about that. It is do or you go to hell. But we were not taught, we were taught about the threat of hell more than the love of God and the beautiful things that you can get.
I actually have a question about that, because this is something that really bothers me, because I feel like if you do good or you're a good person only to escape hell,
then
are your motives correct?
And that's why I should not be taught from that point of view. And I get, of course, it's one of the reasons young people are running away. And now this other, when it seems like a con game, obviously, and we have things like this whole white Jesus, because a lot of us are waking up to a multitude of other factors,
and especially because now we live in an age of information. You don't, when you hear something either from like church or from preachers or whatever, you can still go home and research and talk to people around the world from wherever and ask for opinions and hear from like people's true experiences. We're living in an age where you don't just hear and go home and that's all you'll hear until the next time you go to church.
It's
or whatever.
true. Whereas before, you know, you're afraid to ask, you're afraid to. And of course, that is what white theology gave us, because
don't question God. Do not question the man of God.
But you cannot grow spiritually if you're so afraid.
Right. And I feel like this is now why young people, especially millennials, are just deciding, you know what, let me get my information. I can be a decent person without having to identify as a member of this religion or this religion. I don't have to go to church to like prove that I have some sort of relationship with God or with.
But you see, a lot of them are dropping it entirely. They're not even doing the let's see how we can mitigate, a lot of them are just dropping religion.
But do you think it's because they're just realizing that who you are and the things that you do not have to come from promises or threats?
Yeah, but you don't drop it entirely as well. I
don't think
that's the solution. I don't think it's black, white, I don't like it, I'm just gonna go the other way completely. No.
But also learning about like Black history and African history.
And you can find this out.
And the fact that religion, as you were saying much earlier, the way it was introduced to us was from the white theology perspective of things.
So you just continue with it, but you learn and you find out more and you do your own research, guys. There's nothing more important than that. But I don't feel like the answer is dropping religion as a whole.
Okay, so back to what Paul Kagame did in Rwanda with shutting down the churches and saying, we want these preachers to have real credentials and we're going to shut down any of these pseudo churches or like these people who come
So what they did is they said they shut down, in Kigali alone they shut down 700 churches and a mosque. And in the whole country, it's 6,000.
That's a lot.
So they said, you know what? The two reasons, the two prominent reasons they gave is people are being taken advantage of. A, and B, some of these churches do not even meet just basic health and safety requirements, whether it's basic infrastructure, whether it's noise pollution. Just that was another one they gave.
That's one I support.
So some of them didn't have enough parking, so they were shutting down the streets every Sunday because there's not enough parking for the congregants. Some of them, the people who even died in a particular church where the government cited 16 people died and around 140 were injured because a lightning rod or something, there was an issue with the lightning.
Yeah.
Just basic
health and safety, workplace requirements, basically.
Workplace requirements. And of course, he's been criticized for doing this, and because they said, he wants total control of the country, and that's why he has gone after these ones. Because the funny thing is why I don't agree with this move, I can agree with it, and I see sides of the other coin of it, is mega churches. This is the mega churches were not touched, and the traditional churches. They were not touched, funny enough. But just these other smaller churches, those are the only ones that were touched. But yet, mega churches are a real problem.
Yeah, but the mega churches fit the health and safety requirements, and they have preachers who have said.
But if you're talking about, say, taking advantage of people, mega churches also do take advantage.
Are actually the worst offenders, I think.
Yeah, so of course this was criticized, and of course, do we also want to invite a situation where church is being policed by state? Yeah. These two have been separate, and we've always said we want them to be separate, and it is something that was championed as part of democracy, the greater looking at because we all know what church can do, and we saw it even in the
Europe, Vatican, especially in Europe,
when church has a lot of control, but as well, state should. Do we want to invite that kind of situation? So I do not believe preachers need to have a theology degree. I am not in agreement with that at all. I really am not.
They need to have conviction.
The only one I want to have gone to school, and I will be very is my doctor, because for obvious reasons. But I do not believe that any doctors can some still, things that but what is wrong with me saying let me try herbs instead of certain it's okay, right?
Credentials.
Fine, but they don't need. Why do they need a theology degree? Why a theology degree in particular? And then you're wondering
so that you're preaching to people something
like
Jesus.
Okay.
And then plus don't you think when people go out and get these credentials, they will actually be able to dupe more people?
We've all seen people who are very learned,
so you're more believable.
That sometimes say very dumb shit. I'm sorry for using that
we're
word.
We're not blaming anyone.
But just because they're very learned, we allow them to get away with it because they're a doctor or they have a certain number of degrees. No, that is not always the answer. And there are people who just have a calling. Like, hey guys, it's there are people.
Because I don't think you can go to a theology school to become something like.
And you can research on your own. So because then, if we're talking about it that way, me and you shouldn't be seated here talking about this. Yeah.
Because then we will also be asked where your degrees.
Where are your theology degrees? And me and you should not have an opinion on religion.
Right.
I really.
I don't. Yeah, and I would like to get more people's opinion on this with the state policing church, because as much as I do not completely agree I just think there always, I don't think anything will ever be 100% good or 100% bad, but I as much as I think policing religion is just, it's so out there, there's no way to do it right, I just feel like it's a stepping stone.
And what I feel like is important is let us not so much seem like we're policing religion, but let us require any church, traditional church, mega church, let us require them to show us, because you are exempt from tax, show us why you are exempt from tax. What are you doing for you to deserve that tax exempt status?
Yeah.
So, because we require companies as well. If you want your tax to be lower, show us your CSR. Our churches should show us where the money is going. Quite simply.
Yeah. Well, I think we've covered everything we needed to cover. Do you have something else to add before we wrap it up?
In closing, I think it's very important to realize that we need to put in work. We cannot just be going to church and expect church to give us all the answers. It's supposed to nourish us spiritually. But we need to realize we're in the real world and we need to put in the work.
Yeah.
When Kagame says, we have more churches than we have factories or boreholes in the city of Kigali, and he's wondering how can this small city have over 700 at Kigali alone churches. This is a genuine concern. This is a real question.
Like church and religion are a part of our lives, but they're no substitute for everything else that we need to do. I mean, shouting amen the loudest or commenting amen and sharing those viral posts is no substitute for actually working hard and seeing your life.
When the rest of us are working and then you're saying who is living a better life.
They're living a better life, and I go to church 7 days a week. I go for all the services. It's no substitute for actual work that you need to put in to your life.
Another thing, I believe in miracles. My God, my life is a miracle. Me even being able to sit here is a miracle. I should have gone a long time ago. But
don't say that.
I mean, the way the devil had it, if he has anything to say about it, that's what should have happened. But I'm here, and that is in no small thing. I cannot say it is because of me or because I had access to good medical care or whatever. It's because of God. But people, again, when you see these miracles, sour.
Cripples,
but do we ever follow up?
Yeah.
Where are the records? Because when I tell you I have a condition, I have medical care. You can go to doctors who can tell you, yes, she has been suffering for this. Where are your medical records if you're a cripple? I can sit right now on a wheelchair and say, I'm a cripple.
And I've been healed. I sent return to Kanyari na nimepona.
So why do we not follow up? Why does our media not follow up? So someone, a cripple who has never walked in their life walking, that is big news. Why don't our media ever follow up and find out alitembea for a day, for 2 days, for...
But actually, do you remember when they did the expose on Kanyari, they followed up on the people and...
Exactly, but it needs to happen more because we have a lot of preachers who I see this happening all the time where we see all this,
and especially with bigger churches, even like abroad,
even bigger churches, we even have them coming
healing
to Africa.
Churches,
we have I grew up with TBN,
what are they
and
called? Faith healers.
And I would see them having mass crusades coming to Africa, American preachers and whatnot coming to Africa and claiming they have healed people. But what I never found out is the follow-up.
There's no follow-up.
And
that's
also,
a very good way
someone needs to stand and say, a doctor, we need to see records. Like, I have 1 million records I can give you to show you about my medical
because
journey.
Otherwise, people
Everyone
just follow blindly, and that's why we are having these problems to date of people being taken advantage of because of their faith and belief. And that being said, like, share, subscribe, and let us know in the comments, especially if you still go to Kanyari's church. Let us know why you're still going.
I'm very open. I really want to understand, what do you feel your pastor was lied upon? Do you believe he was set up? What is your view on this? And those of you who
have given up on religion or are still
why are you running away? Let us know what your issue is. And those of you who are still in it as well, let us know, why are you still in it? Why do you still like these mega churches where they don't know your name? Because why do you worship? Why do you want to worship somewhere where they don't even know who you are? But anyway,
and tell us what you thought about white Jesus.
Let us know
especially if you go to that church. And we will see you guys soon.